Hi, I am Katie. I am 48 years old and I have had a lifelong struggle with obesity. I want to start a channel because I think there's a lot of missing pieces to the obesity conversation, and I have some perspective and some experience on this, and I'd really like to share it with other people in the hopes that it might help somebody. I currently am in the middle of a weight loss journey. I started at the beginning of this year at 273 pounds, and I have been working very hard to lose weight this year, and I am down so far. I'm down 77 pounds. I just got into Wonderland just this past week, and right now I'm down to 195.8. And obviously, people want to know how I am doing that and what my plans are to continue. And I will definitely get into that in a minute. But I want to talk a little bit more about my history first. So, I have been dieting since I was about 19 or 20, and I have lost anywhere from 100 pounds when I was in my early 20s on Jenny Craig, and I've done Weight Watchers multiple times, losing probably anywhere from 30 to 50 pounds each time. I did that after the birth of my daughter, and then probably every year or so, I would lose a bunch of weight and then gain it back and lose it and gain it and lose it. I've lost hundreds of pounds over the years, trying every single different diet and succeeding. I mean, you can't say that I didn't succeed in weight loss. I definitely lost weight every single time. I can attest that every kind of diet that you wouldn't want to try will work if you follow it. They're all based on the same thing. That's the age-old calories in, calories out formula. And certainly to decrease your weight, that does work. However, it doesn't actually get to the root of the problem. And that's what I really want to talk a little bit more about, is that people get this wrong all the time. Weight loss is one thing, obesity is a whole different thing. And many people are able to lose weight on a diet just following the calories in, calories out approach. But I would argue that they may not have obesity. Obesity is its own thing, its own condition or disease, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people find themselves overweight and are able to lose weight just by following a diet. And that's fine. That's great. I'm not going to say that doesn't work, but obesity is different than that. If you find yourself with a lot of weight to lose over and over and over and over again in your life, and you're able to lose it and then you gain it back, or you're able to lose some of it, but you can never maintain that and you can never keep it off, then I would say you probably do have a condition called obesity. And it's not just about how much weight you have on your body. That's part of it. That's a symptom of obesity. But obesity is a condition where, for some reason, your body is actively pursuing the gain of fat and storing of fat. And if you lose it, regaining it to reset back to the point where it wants to be. That's very different from somebody who's just happened to have gained weight for maybe circumstances in their life, and they go to take it off and their body doesn't fight them on it. Their body isn't actively trying to be fatter. It's just because, you went through a period of time in your life where you weren't taking as good care of yourself and maybe making less good choices. But then once you change your habits a little bit, you're able to lose the weight and keep it off. And your body says, okay, that's fine, go on. But with obesity, it's different. There's something different about us. And what it boils down to is that our bodies are actively trying to be fat at all times. And they're manipulating the things going on inside of us hormonally, our appetite, our satiety signals, our ability to burn fat versus store fat, our desire to eat, our pleasure that we get from eating is different than people who maintain a normal weight easily. There's dysfunction going on within the body. It isn't just about how much food I'm putting in my mouth. Yes, that's part of the equation, but it's not even the most important part of the equation, because, you know, people from the outside looking in on obesity, they just don't understand, and they can't understand because they've never experienced it. They just say, why are you eating so much? Why can't you stop eating like that? Just eat less than what your body needs. And that seems so simple in a concept, but it doesn't work like that in reality for somebody who has obesity. So from my own experience, again, going back to all of the diets that I did, I have an extremely high amount of willpower. I can go for as long as a year eating on a calorie deficit, never eating anything off of my plan, accounting for every calorie, weighing and measuring every piece of food, not taking any bites or licks or tastes of anything, accounting for every calorie. Watching people eat my favorite foods right in front of my face, and I don't eat that. I eat my hair's gone crazy. I don't eat that. I eat the carrot sticks and the chicken breast and the broccoli or whatever it is that I'm eating. And I can watch people eat bread in front of my face and whatever else, and I have a lot of willpower. There's something that happens to me in between these periods of willpower that I'm able to exert. And the best that I can relate it to is like using your muscles. You can only flex your muscle for so long before it fatigues, and you have to let go. Like your contraction will let up because you cannot continue to wield a contraction. You can't use your willpower indefinitely. It will fatigue at some point in time. At some point in time, that happens. Your willpower fatigues. Now the rest of your body kicks back in and says, okay, well, that sucked. We were starving. That was dangerous. That was scary. We need to put that fat back on the body. We need to get that fat back. We're in danger. We're starving. We're going to die. So go out and eat now. Eat everything that you possibly can as fast as you possibly can. It's going to upregulate your hunger signals. It's going to downregulate your ability to expend energy. You're going to be tired. Your insulin is high, so you're in fat storage mode. And at that point, if you have dieted down a lot, you have lost some of your metabolic functioning. So your metabolism will have adapted down, and you probably did lose some lean muscle mass. Every diet will do that to you. And then, so you can't burn fat and burn energy as effectively. And now your body is telling you to eat more. And even if you don't eat an excessive amount, you can't eat as much as you used to be able to eat. And so you would have to be basically on what felt like a calorie deficit in order to maintain. And you can't do that forever. I mean, nobody can. The only people who can willfully starve themselves in the face of true, real hunger and a lack of perceived energy by the brain, those people have eating disorders. That's not healthy. That's not normal. That's not good. You can't continually ignore hunger forever before your body will say, no, enough. I want more energy. You have to eat more. So you're going to eat more. You're going to do what your body is demanding that you do. And you just keep going through this cycle. So you've worn out your willpower. Your body upregulates all of this hunger, upregulates fat storage, downregulates your metabolism, is in full-blown fat storage mode, and it's a slippery slope. And before you know it, you've gained all of your weight back. How did I do this? I'm so angry with myself. How did I let it happen? I mean, all I know is I gave in to my hunger one time, and now here I'm like, wake up 9 months later, and all of my work is undone, and I'm back where I was, or even worse than before. And it's just this vicious, endless, horrible cycle that you can't get out of. And the reason is because the only treatment for it really has been calories in, calories out. reduce your calories. And yes, again, it works for a while, but it won't work forever. Your body will adapt, your body will keep pushing, your body will keep forcing you, and eventually you're going to give up on that calorie deficit. Eventually you're going to have to eat, and then you just get like washed away in this rip current of weight gain. And calories in, calories out doesn't solve that problem at all. It actually makes it worse, really, because when you eat less calories, and you lose weight, like I sort of mentioned earlier, your metabolism downregulates, and you burn less calories afterwards than you did before. And so to maintain, you would have to eat less. You've lost some muscle mass probably, and it hasn't solved the problem. So let's talk about what the problem is that we really haven't talked about, that society doesn't talk about. They only talk about the calories and the exercise. And what I've discovered this year on my journey is something that I really was completely unaware of before. And that is the concept of insulin as being a chronically elevated hormone. I guess it is. It's a hormone, I think, chronically elevated. So, it was always a mystery to me, because having been obese more than once in my life, and significantly so, my A1C was always normal. My most recent one was done in January before I started on a weight loss journey this year, and it was 4.8, I think, which is perfect. That's a perfect A1C. How is that possible? I was eating garbage. I spent a lot of last year eating carbs, drinking lots of alcohol, sugar, anything. I mean, I was eating terribly, by my own admission. How on earth has my A1C stayed normal? Why is that? I'm severely obese, and I have not been eating healthy for this last year. It didn't make any sense to me, and it's always been fine. My whole life, no matter, where I am in the spectrum, my A1C has been fine. And now I understand it's because my insulin was always high. My insulin was always chronically elevated. And what happens is, if your insulin is high, anytime you consume any blood sugar, it's just going to funnel that straight into your fat stores. I guess I'm a lucky one who has a limitless supply of fat. There are some people who have a finite amount of fat cells, and they never grow any more fat cells. So their fat can get to a certain size, and then it stops filling up, and they can't put anything more in it. Then maybe they'll get a little bit of visceral fat, but there's like a limit to how much fat they can ever have. Some people can actually grow new fat cells, and I believe that that's part of my body type. I can grow new fat cells. And so, we just kept shoveling. We'd fill up all the fat cells that I have with all the sugar, take it out of my bloodstream right away, put it in the fat. Fat fills up, grow new fat, get new fat, which I guess is a blessing and a curse. Because I don't have diabetes, where I really should, based on some of the ways that I've been eating and the problems that I've had with my weight over time. So anyway, this concept of insulin is crucial to understand, and it's left out completely. Like, they don't measure it. They don't do a test for that at your doctor's office. And insulin is your storage hormone. So if it is always high, you're always in a state signaling storage of your fat or of whatever. You're not in a fat burning state. It's very difficult for your body to release any stores of fat when you have chronically elevated insulin. And most of the mainstream diets out there support high insulin. I mean, they're pumping you full of carbs, complex or not, it doesn't matter. They're pumping you full of carbs and telling you to eat 3 to 5 meals a day. You're constantly elevating your insulin. It's a miracle anybody can lose weight at all with a standard diet. But I guess if you have enough of an energy deficit, you will lose weight for a while. But my assumption, and this is an assumption, I'm not backed by research, my assumption is that once you reach a certain point of weight loss and kind of this your body has downregulated the calories that you need to function to a point where, you might be eating pretty low calories, 1,300, 1,500 calories or whatever. But your insulin is now so high, or it's still high because you haven't done anything to fix it. And your energy needs have been decreased by your body so that it can self-preservation, basically. And you could be eating on that same amount of calories and not lose any more weight. And you kind of get stuck. And I think that's part of what happens for a lot of people on a plateau. But that's a lot to assume. So I can't say that is the case for everyone. But anyway, I think that not addressing insulin is doing everyone a disservice because it's making weight loss harder. And again, I think it's making a lot of people run into plateaus when they wouldn't necessarily run into a plateau otherwise. So insulin is a huge part of this that really just never addressed at all. And normal diets don't address it at all. Calories in, calories out doesn't address it. Then there's also this concept of leptin, which I have recently discovered in the last couple of months. Leptin is actually even a precursor hormone to insulin, and it is primarily governed by light exposure, circadian rhythm and light exposure. And nobody in the medical field is talking about this as far as I'm aware. Maybe some people are, but no doctor that I have ever visited has said anything about circadian rhythm or light exposure at all, as to how it might relate to your health and weight issues and everything. So if you have, but what I've learned so far is that if you have high insulin, you definitely also have dysregulated leptin, because that's the precursor to insulin. And leptin is the signal that tells your brain how much energy you have stored on your body. And when we are obese or significantly overweight, our fat does produce this leptin, but just kind of like insulin resistance, when you have too much insulin for too long, the receptors don't hear it anymore. They don't even know that you have this much insulin. Same thing with leptin. So leptin is supposed to signal to your body, hey, we have plenty of fat on here. We don't need any more fat. Let's stop eating. Let's go exercise some more. We're good. But but fat makes this hormone too. And if you have so much fat, you're flooding your system with all of this leptin. Your sensors, I guess, become numb to it, or they can't read it. And so you kind of get yourself into this state where your brain doesn't know that you're fat. Your brain cannot hear this leptin signal, and it's going to assume that you don't have any fat. It's going to assume that you're starving, that there's literally no fat on your body. What is that going to do? Well, of course, it's in danger. It thinks it's going to die of starvation. And so it's going to upregulate insulin, because that's the storage hormone. It's going to upregulate your hunger signals. It's going to upregulate your food-seeking behavior, and it's going to probably enhance the pleasure that you get from eating as a means of encouraging you to eat. So these things are completely out of whack in your body, and nobody's doing anything to fix it. So, now enter in a new era that we have now with medical interventions that can help. The one that's been around and probably the most widely known would be bariatric surgery. And I don't know the details about all of that. I have not looked into bariatric surgery on a very broad, basic level. I assume they reduce stomach capacity and force you not to be able to eat any more than a certain amount at a certain sitting. And I think also there may be some aspect of not being able to absorb all of the nutrients either. So it's physically forcing you not to be able to eat. Now, it doesn't solve the issue either, although I read that it does actually help improve insulin sensitivity, at least at first. But it doesn't solve the issue at hand either. It doesn't really solve high insulin. And I think that we've all seen it. Like, people have had bariatric surgery and they regain their weight back eventually. And, it doesn't solve the underlying problems with leptin and insulin either. Also, now we have glp-1 medications. I'm a huge fan of GLP-1 medication, and I myself am taking it. It has been the most profound, life-changing, amazing thing that has ever happened to me in my whole life. And I'm going to talk more about that in another video where I really specifically talk about my journey and my experience with that. But that doesn't solve the problem either, unfortunately. And I'll be the first to admit that. It's very clear, the data out there is very clear that GLP-1 medications do not solve obesity. If you stop taking it, you're going to stop losing weight or you're going to gain your weight back. Most people do. And again, it's because it might have an improvement while you're taking it in insulin sensitivity, but it doesn't necessarily in and of itself lower or significantly lower your insulin. And I don't think it does anything to your leptin. So, you could do all the right things. You can take this GLP-1 medication. You can eat a healthier diet with the standard dietary advice. You can get your fiber and you can get your protein and you can eat 3 meals a day and whatever. And it isn't going to solve anything. So it's going to help reduce your appetite. It does some things with insulin. It does some things with blood sugar. It definitely helps with, breaking that cycle of the insulin telling you that you're starving all of the time and giving you that food noise and the desire to continue eating past fullness. And it helps with satiety. It helps you feeling full. So it does a lot of good things that we need that really, really help when we have obesity, but it doesn't actually solve the underlying problem. So my quest, my journey here that I have kind of fallen into is figuring out, how do we fix it? I want to fix this. I don't want to suffer with obesity for the rest of my life. I don't want to take a medication for the rest of my life. I'll take it for as long as I need to. I will never go back to living the way that I used to live before I found this amazing tool. And I'll take it. I will take it forever if I have to. I would love to not need it. I would love to find the answers to solve the problems, to fix the problem from within, from the ground up, so that I no longer need this medication in my life. That's my quest. That's my journey. And that's what I'm here to share with you. So this has been my introduction, my crazy introduction to my thoughts in general about weight loss and obesity. And I hope to be sharing many more videos with everyone to talk about my particular current journey that I'm on and the things that I've done so far that are really, really working for me. And I hope you'll stick with me to try to follow along with my journey and support me. Thanks.